Welcome friends, welcome back to the studio. So today I thought we would do a little painting of some Calla Lilies, just very simple, and I've got a couple of drawn out, and you can see I've done a little bit of practice with them. I've got one here and one here, and just doing a couple of different things with each of them. I think I like this one a little bit better. Let's see if we can't kind of duplicate some of this in our work. Here I've drawn the picture out for us beforehand. I am using a travel watercolor kit. Just let me open that up. Probably seen me use this kit many times before. I rather like it. And I will be putting the picture or a link to the picture in the description. I will probably put the picture in the video too, somewhere in that corner or maybe that corner. But let's get started. Let's jump in with what we're doing here. So I am just going to take a little bit of a nice warm yellow color. This is how I'm going to start. With these flowers, our white is going to be just kind of a yellowish color. I shouldn't say our white is going to be yellow. Our flower itself is going to be a bit of a yellow color on the bottom side, and a bit of a, I don't know, a yellowish brown on the inside, I think. And because I'm using some pretty light colors on this flower, I'm going to paint, I'm going to be able to paint right over any blemishes I have when I'm done with it, when I paint the background. So I'm going to hold off on painting the background a little bit. I'm just putting in a little bit of this yellow. I don't know if it's a Rulian or a Gamboge, but it's the warm yellow I have on my palette. I've got a cold yellow and warm yellow on there, so I'm just using the warm yellow. I think it just gives it more of a summertime feel, if you want to put it that way. You know, just a kind of a nice warm something. Okay, so I'm going to move now to looks like maybe a raw umber. I'm going to make this really nice and wet. I don't want much paint on there at all. And I'm going to kind of start to put this in, but kind of, you know, put it in some little lines there. I really hope you guys can see this. I know this is really light. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more even. There we go. You won't be able to see what I'm, my paint box over here, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'm just going to bring this right down there, just a few lines, and I'm actually going to blot a little bit out. It's very light. My color is very light up here. I don't want too much color in there, but I want to be able to show the flower kind of coming in. I want that sense of direction that these little lines are going to give to us. I should say here, here, here on these flowers, I don't really want to do anything. I'm going to leave that white. That's going to be a true highlight for us. So anything else that gets done around here, I'm leaving those alone. Just not going to touch them at all. Let's see. Got some old blue here on my watercolor palette. I'm just kind of getting that off. Let me move into, I'm using, I guess this is phthalo blue. Just kind of getting it loose and watery. That might still be too strong there. And I'm going to blend that in underneath here. There we go. I'm just getting my brush wet and rubbing it back on a little bit of paper. I want most of that water to come off of there. And we're just going to take the edge out between those two. There we go. Now it kind of looks like that's folding back on itself a little bit. I can get a little bit more blue right up here. There we go. That looks better. just right underneath the lip of this flower, of this petal. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Let me get that right in the middle. Let's see, it's going to come right underneath here and down the side. There we go. And again, just drying my paintbrush off. Just, who was it? Bob Ross would say, painting with two hairs and some air. That's kind of what I want to do there. I'm going to take some of the same color and I'm going to put it right down inside our flower. I'm just going to go right around, I think that's the stamen. I think it's called the stamen. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get it wet and I'm going to pull it out a little bit. Let's see, there we go. Just blending it in there. If I don't have too much color in there, I'm fine with it. If I blend most of it away, that's fine. Let me move it back in the center. I just want to give the indication that that goes down into a shadow down there, deep inside the recesses of this flower. There we go. And I'm just, when you see me go off the frame, I'm just dabbing my brush off on my paper towel, which has just got a little bit of dampness on it, and I'm bringing it right back. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to try to get my phthalo blue a little bit more watery. There we go. Just like that. Maybe this one's facing the sun just a little bit more. It's not quite as dark. Actually, I like how that came out. Real nice. Okay, now I'm going to go to a little bit of this burnt sienna, it looks like. I'm going to give just a little bit more indication of some lines on here. And I'm going to take some of those away. What I want to do is I want to keep the illusion from your eye that there are some lines on this petal and they're pulling your eye into this hole, but I don't want to state right out in the forefront that that's what I'm doing. I want your eye to kind of have to hunt for that just ever so slightly. There we go, some nice yellowish calla lilies. I'm going to put a little bit of color right back there. I like that. I actually said I was going to leave this white. I'm going to put just a little bit of color right down here. I guess I don't want that to be totally white. There we go. And I'm going to darken down my yellow right down here just a bit using that same color. Just pull it on ever so slightly. There we go. While I'm at it, I'm going to get some of my green and I'm just going to draw on. Let's see, come on green, come out of there. I got a better color green than that. There we go. This looks good. Just draw my green stem. I don't want that to be totally straight. Little gentle curve in there. I think that looks good. And you can do the same thing. You can just barely touch where the green and the yellow are going to come together. Just like that. Alright, now I'm going to switch to a little tiny brush. This is a 0 brush. Here it is. I don't know if I got it on camera. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to move it. You didn't get to see me paint the stems there. There they are. I forget when I zoom in sometimes that I need to zoom out also. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue color and I'm going to just put it in just back here. You can just tell that there's a little bit of depth on this flower. Just let me get it wet, tap it off, get all that color off of there. There we go. Now you can tell that this part of the petal right here sits just in front of that in the back. And I'm going to do the same thing here on this one. And I don't want any harsh colors. I just want to dab it on there. I just want just a very tiny little bit of color on there. Just enough so your eye knows what's going on with it. And make sure you can see what's going on. I'm going to put a little bit more on here. I've just decided that this now is my shadow side. Just dabbing some of this color onto there. Nice green we were using before. There we go. I'm going to come back to my yellow color. Everything else up here should have dried. I'm going to put in the stamen. It is quite a bright yellow. If you've ever seen calla lilies before, there we go. Alright, I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. Let me zoom you out a little bit. And while I was painting these ones before, I just was mixing a couple of colors. Right, I had some blues and greens in the background. I had some yellows and browns in the background. I actually think I like the yellows and browns a bit more, so we're going to try that here. So I'm going to mix them up. I think I can get you all on. Now, here we go. Just going to drop in some colors. I'm going to use the warmer yellows and maybe some ochre. I haven't even gotten into my ochre. Look at that, it's still quite dry. There we go, down on the bottom. A warmer yellow. Put some ochre over here. And when I do this, I'm not too worried about where my colors go. Yellows, browns. I can mix in some greens if I want to, but the thing I want to do is, if I paint an ochre on this side of a stem, I need to paint the ochre on this side of the stem, so I get a little consistency through the flower. So I think I'm going to follow with some ochre mostly all the way across to here. There we go. So I've got some ochre there. I'm going to put some, keep going with my yellow up here. I'm actually going to change to this cold yellow, I think. Up here, that's going to look nice. And maybe just for the fun of it, I'll drop a little bit of green in there just to break it up. What we don't want to do is just make this a uniform color background. Uniform backgrounds aren't the most exciting thing in the world. If we can break these colors up just a little bit, it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much more interesting to look at and have a lot more life in the painting. I'm just being careful to go right around our flowers here. There we go. Let's get another little bit of green in over here, I think. I'll put it. There we go. We don't know what's going on in the background. There could totally be some green over there. Just at least a green tint to it. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to go back to my yellow. I know I'm tipping the painting again. It just makes it a little bit easier to get into some of these spots. If you paint on the flat like I do here, then You probably tip your painting too. If you paint on an easel where everything's tipped up, it's much harder to do, so you probably there are not moving it, I would suspect. If you do move it, you're better than I am. It's kind of hard to do. There we go. I'm just trying to get right up to our flower. I don't want to leave too much white. If you've seen me paint before, you know I'm not too worried about white. Your eye kind of blocks some of it out, but I don't need to leave too much in there. There you go. We can come back and just dab some of it in too. Probably don't want to highlight over here on our dark side color. There we go. And I got a couple of things left to do, or at least one thing left to do that I want to. I'm going to go back into, I'm going to leave it sit here, but I'm going to go back into my warm yellow color here, and I've got a rigger brush, and I want to just draw some veins on the bottom of this picture, or on the bottom of this petal, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can do this from the side. Just get some nice veins in there. Wow, jumped right out of my hand. Well, I could have been better. That's alright. Yeah, this one is definitely better. So just a few veins in there. And I actually want to darken my blue in here just a bit. Kind of my blue and my yellow stamen there kind of ran together, and I don't want that. I'm okay if we get a little bit darker in there, make it look like it's a little bit deeper maybe. Just putting it on and brushing it right back off. There we go. I think that gives it a little bit more drama. I'm going to put a little bit more. We're just adjusting our shadows in here. Put a little bit more there. I think that's good. And I need a little bit more on this other plant. I don't even have one here. Put that in and just scratch that off. There we go. Make that petal stand out a little bit more. Same thing here. This is the scariest part for everybody. If you've got to come back and put in a little bit of shadow color, how much do I put on? How dark do I make it? What happens if I make it too dark? What happens if it doesn't get dark enough? Well, if it gets too dark, you just take a little bit of it off. If it doesn't get dark enough, we're not going to worry about it too much. Can we just go over it one more time? There we go. Just pull it right down there. I think that gives a bit more depth to this. I like it more. I bet if I put a little bit extra here too, it would make that stand out. It's all about the difference between darks and lights. Getting your lights light enough, your darks dark enough to create the depth that you want. Having said that, I'm going to put a little bit of extra darkness. Let's see. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm mixing up a little bit of my dark. I'm going to put that just a bit back here. Maybe this is maybe this petal curls just that little bit, right? I'm going to lead some of this into there. I'll leave that in the light. Just touching up where I think it needs to go to give it a little bit of extra depth. Let's see, I put a couple of more of these curls in here. Something like that. I'm not going to fiddle with it anymore. I like it the way it is. There's my Calla Lilies. Let me zoom you out just a wee bit so you can see. I'm going to grab a pen, if I can find one, so I can sign this. There we go, and here we are with some nice Calla Lilies for the middle of the summer. I hope you enjoy it. If you did like it, give a like to the video, subscribe to my channel. I would love to paint with you again sometime. Share my video with your friends if you like. Go ahead and do that. I don't mind. And that's it. I enjoyed painting with you. Thanks. I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye.